Hello children, welcome to my class. I am Momita and today I will be explaining you the chapter Footprints Without Feet. Now this chapter revolves around a mad scientist called Griffin who is obsessed with his discovery that he has made. And what is his discovery? He has discovered a formula which can make a person or anything invisible. Now what happens after he discovers his strange formula, his unique formula? Come, let us know what happens in this story, Footprints Without Feet. Before I start the chapter, let me discuss a few things about the title of the story. Now this story is called Footprints Without Feet, which means there are the footprints, but however the feet cannot be seen. It is because the scientist has become invisible, so the chapter opens in a place where two children can see the footprints of the scientist. However, the feet or the person as a whole was invisible. So the chapter is named as Footprints Without Feet, and it is for your information. You must also know that this story is taken from the novel Invisible Man, which is written by H.G. Wells. Now it is a science fiction, and if you read the whole novel, you will see a lot of happenings there. There are a lot of characters in the story. However, we are going to read a very small part from this main story, from the main novel. Okay, now let us start with the chapter. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London, and where was the man? Now in this, the story opens with two boys who are staring at surprise. Why are they surprised? Because they could see fresh muddy imprints. Now it is in London, it is extremely cold, and generally people do not come out without shoes, so they were very surprised to see the muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. Now they were thinking, what could a barefooted man do there on the steps of their house in the middle of London, and where was the man? As they gaze means to look at something intently, a remarkable sight met their eyes. They saw something remarkable, something very strange. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. From nowhere, all of a sudden, they could see the footmarks appear. However, the body or the feet could not be seen anywhere. Further footprints followed one after another. They saw the footprints following one after another, descending the steps and progressing down the street. So the footprints, it seemed that they descended down the steps and they went towards the street. They progressed towards the street. The boys followed, fascinated, until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter, and at last disappeared altogether. Now they followed. It was something very strange for them. They kept on walking, they kept on following the footprints until the footprints became fainter and fainter, and finally they disappeared altogether. The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. The bewildered means the confused boys, had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make a human body transparent. Now here we come to know what exactly has happened. What is the explanation behind these footprints which had no feet? Now, what is the explanation? That it is because the footprints belong to the feet of a scientist who had discovered how to make a person transparent. Griffin, the scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment to prove that the human body could become invisible. Finally, he swallowed certain rare drugs. He read certain drugs, certain formula which were the products of his experiment, and his body became as transparent as a sheet of glass. Though it also remained as solid as glass. It doesn't mean the body had disappeared. It may be transparent, but it was also solid. Brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. He disobeyed. He liked to disobey law. He never obeyed law. He was a lawless person, though he was a brilliant scientist. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him. Eject him means throw him out of the house. His landlord did not want him to remain in the house. In revenge, what did Griffin do? In revenge, he set fire to the house to get away without being seen, as he had removed his clothes. Now, he was invisible, but his clothes were not. In order to remain invisible, it was mandatory that he was without his clothes or any other external things like shoes or specs or anything. He has to remain absolutely naked. Thus, it was that he became a homeless wanderer. So he had set fire to the landlord's house, and because he wanted to get away with his things without being noticed. And moreover, he did not like his discovery to be found by anyone after he left the house. So he had set fire to the house. And now he was a homeless wanderer, and he was also without clothes, without money, and quite invisible, until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. No one would notice him unless he left some step in mud, and he left footprints as he walked. Now the next page. He escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London, but his adventures were by no means over. So though he escaped from these boys, his adventures were not over. Just on the same night, he had discovered, he had swallowed the formula which could make him invisible. So he was not quite well accustomed with those things, right? So his adventure had just started. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about in London without clothes. It was a bad time, it was winter, and wandering about without clothes in London in such cold winter was really hard. It was mild winter, the air was bitterly cold, and he could not do without clothes. He needed clothes very badly. Instead of walking about the street, he decided to slip into a big cotton store for warmth. So he decided that he would go into he would slip into an emporium, a departmental store to get some clothes. Closing time arrived, and as soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expense. Now he need not bother about the expenses, right? Because he knew that there was no one to charge him. The shop had already closed, and he could now eat as much as he liked. Soon, with shoes and overcoat and a wide-brimmed hat, he became fully dressed and a visible person. Soon he stole all his dresses, hat and coat, and then he became a visible person. In the kitchen of the restaurant, he found cold meat and coffee, and he followed up the meals with sweet and wine from the grocery store. So he ate everything. He ate meals, sweet, wine, and all other things, meat and coffee, everything. Finally, he settled down to sleep on a pile of quilts. Now it was, if only Griffin had managed to wake up in good time, all might have been well. But he was tired, he had fallen asleep. And before he could wake up, the shop had opened and its employees were back to work. As it was, he did not wake up till the assistants had already arrived next morning. When he saw a couple of them approaching, he panicked and began to run. Now he was wearing all the dress, so he was visible. And when he saw the people arriving, he was panicked. Panic means he was scared, and he started running. They naturally gave chase. In the end, he was able to escape only by quickly taking off his newly found clothes. So finally he escaped, and before he escaped, he had to remove all his newly found clothes, because unless and until he becomes invisible, he could not escape. So once more he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air. This time he decided to try the stock of theatrical company in the hope of finding not only clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulders. Now he decided that he would hide something from the theatrical company, and this time he is not going to steal only clothes, but something that can also hide the empty space above his shoulder. So he had hat and he had clothes, but the face part was not without any cover, and that part seemed to be hollow, which could easily scare people. So he wanted something that could also cover his face part. Shivering with cold, he hurried to Drury Lane, the center of the theatrical wall. Now, next he came to, after this departmental store, his next stop was Drury Lane. Now, the Drury Lane was the center of the theatrical wall. He soon found a suitable shop. He made his way invisible upstairs and came out a little later wearing bandages around his forehead, dark glasses, false nose, big bushy side whiskers, and a large hat to escape without being seen. He callously attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him of all the money he could find. Now he found a suitable shop, and after that he went upstairs, and he found their bandages, so he bandaged his face, his forehead. He found dark glasses, his false nose, and bushy side whiskers. And all these things would easily keep his face hidden. He would not be seen by anyone. And after that, when he was caught by the shopkeeper, when he was seen by the shopkeeper, he callously attacked the shopkeeper from behind and robbed him of all his money. Eager to get away from the crowded London, he took a train to the village of Iping, where he booked 2 rooms at the local inn. Now he wanted to get away from the crowd of London, so he went to the remote village of Iping, and there he booked 2 rooms at a local inn. The arrival of a stranger at an inn in winter was in any case an unusual event. It was extremely cold, right? And Iping was a place which was also very cold, which was known for its low temperature. So hardly any tourists arrived at that time, and arrival of a stranger or a tourist at that time was something very unusual. A stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. Set all tongues wagging means all the people started to talk about such a strange person. The appearance of such a strange person was covered from head to toe. Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, made every effort to be friendly, but Griffin had no desire to talk, and told her, "My reason for coming to Iping is a desire for solitude." Solitude means loneliness. It's LONILENESS. Solitude means loneliness. So he said that he had come to Iping because he wanted to be lonely, and he did not wish to be disturbed in his work. He said that. Besides, an accident has affected my face. He said, what excuse did he give for covering all his face? He said that there was an accident which had completely damaged his face, as a result of which he always remains in cover. Satisfied that a guest was an eccentric scientist. Eccentric means kind of mad, crazy. The word eccentric means crazy. And in view of the fact that he had paid him in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper. Now, these 2 things were very bad about Griffin. He had very strange habits, and he always had a bad temper. But since Mrs. Hall was paid in advance, he accepted his guest, she accepted her guest, though she did not like her. But the stolen money did not last long. He had stolen some money at Drury Lane. That money did not last long, and he again needed money. And presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. So he said that he had no more cash, and he pretended as if he was expecting some money. He would soon pay her, and he said that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. Very early in morning, a clergyman is a kind of priest in the church, and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. Creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. Now, a strange thing happened. Very early now, Griffin needed more money, so he decided to rob the clergyman. Early in the morning, the clergyman and his wife heard some kind of noise downstairs. They went downstairs but did not find anyone. However, they could hear the chink of money which was taken away from the clergyman's desk. Without making any noise, and with a poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. "Surrender," and he said, "Sir," he asked the person to surrender. He opened the door and he asked the person who was stealing to surrender. But it was of no use because Griffin was invisible and it was not possible to catch him. Right? So though he came at time, he could not prevent the burglary. He could not stop the burglary. Right? Then to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty, and he and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. Now they saw that there was no one. They looked everywhere, behind the curtains, up in the chimney, but the room was absolutely empty. Then who was stealing the money? That was the question. There wasn't a sign of anybody, yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. Extraordinary affairs, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. We said that it's extraordinary. They could not see anyone, yet everything was robbed. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. After he returned to Mrs. Hall's inn, it was already discovered by Mr. and Mrs. Hall that the stranger was not at his room. And when they found the room to be empty, Mr. and Mrs. Hall had entered the room and were turning things upside down to find out to find out the truth behind this stranger. All of a sudden, the stranger appeared there invisible, and the landlord and his wife did not know that the stranger had already appeared. The landlord and his wife were up very early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. The opportunity seemed to be too good to be missed. Now they wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. They wanted to find out what was so secret about the stranger. So they peeped round the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time. The bedclothes had become all very cold, which proved that the scientist had left the bed quite for some time. That he always wore were lying about the bandages that he always wore were lying about the bed. Now he had gone to commit the burglary, so he was without his clothes and bandages. Everything were lying on the bed. All of a sudden, Mr. Hall heard a sniff close to his ear. Now, do you know sniffing? Sniffing means when you have cold, you sniff, or if you can smell something good in the air, you sniff. Some good smell of food also you sniff. Dogs, they also sniff. Smelling, the act of smelling, which produce some kind of noise, that is sniffing. So very close to Mrs. Hall, she found sniffing. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face. Then the bedroom chair became alive. Everything, all the furniture, were thrown at her, at Mr. and Mrs. Hall. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her, legs foremost. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam the lock and lock the door after them. So everything, all the furniture, it seemed they had become alive and they started jumping. It seemed that someone was throwing those furniture at them, and after they went out of the room, the door was slammed at them. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stair in hysterics. She was almost mad. She couldn't understand what was going on. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits and that the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. Now she was convinced that the stranger had somehow caused some spirits or ghosts to enter her furniture, as a result of which they were moving automatically. It was because they were possessed by some kind of ghost. My poor mother used to sit in that chair, she moaned. To think it should rise up against me now. Now she said that, Mrs. Hall said, that my poor mother, she used to sit on that chair, and now this chair is rising up against me. Actually the chair was thrown at her. Right. So she said that this chair is trying to hurt me, and on this chair my mother used to sit. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. But witchcraft or not, when news of burglary at the clergyman's house became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Now, people believed that it was some kind of witchcraft. But witchcraft or not, everyone suspected the strange man to have some kind of role in the burglary at the clergyman's house. Suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash. Now, just the previous day, he had said that he had no money and he was expecting some kind of check. All of a sudden, he produced hard cash, ready cash, though he admitted not long before that he had no money. So it was very suspicious. From where had this man got the money? The village constable was secretly sent for. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. The village constable was there, and Mrs. Hall went to the scientist's room and demanded him how he entered the house. I want to know what you have been doing to my chairs upstairs. Now she asked, what did you do to my chair? Why did they rise against me? What they hurled at me? She demanded. And I want to know how is it you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. So how is it possible that you came out of an empty room and you entered a locked room? The scientist was always quick-tempered, and now he became furious. You don't understand who or what I am. He said that you don't understand who or what I am. So don't try to mess with me. He shouted. Very well, I'll show you. Suddenly what happened? He wanted to scare Mrs. Hall. So he opened all his bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even his nose. It took him only a minute to do this. And after he did that, what happened? The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at the headless man. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, now arrived, and he was quite surprised. Now the constable had come there to investigate about the thievery, because everyone suspected that it was the scientist, that is Griffin, who had committed the burglary. So the Jaffers, the constable who had already arrived, now he was also surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without any head, because first of all he had opened the bandages and hat. So the body was still visible, but the head was invisible. But Jaffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. If a magistrate warrant ordered a person's arrest, then that person has to be arrested without head. Though he became headless, Jaffers was not persuaded. Jaffers did not stop himself from doing his duty. Right? He knew that if there is a magistrate's order, he has to do it at any cost. Whether the man is with head or without head, it doesn't really matter. There followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of the man, who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. Now he was throwing off one garment after another, and he was becoming more and more invisible, and it was a remarkable scene. Finally, a shirt flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at. So finally, the shirt, he opened the shirt, and the constable was seen fighting with someone he couldn't see at all. Some people tried to help him, but found themselves hit by blows that seems to come from nowhere. The people who went to help Jaffers, they were welcomed by blows, hits. They were welcomed by hits. They were also beaten. And all these blows came from nowhere. People did not know, because by this time Griffin had become completely invisible. In the end, Jaffers was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. And at the end, what happened? Jaffers was beaten and he became unconscious when he was trying his best to hold on to the unseen scientist. There was nervous, excited cries of "Hold him!" But this was easier said than done. It was not so easy. People tried to hold him, but he had shaken himself free. and no one knew where to lay hands on him, and no one knew where to hold that person because he was invisible, right? And this story ends here. Now in our next class we would start with another chapter. I hope you have understood the chapter. Thank you for being in the class. Goodbye.